This is going to be the biggest mouse release of 2024. Like seriously, the biggest mice. Let's go on and get some measurements here if I can, because there's so many different curves on this mouse. There is our length. We'll get this grip width, kind of. Well, this is going to flare out by the buttons, which I'll get you another angle there as well. If we get up to the front here, there's that dimension. On the far tail end, right where it flares out back there, being ergonomic, I guess. Over here, if we look by the button side, I'll get that one for you. But as you see, you got the extra button on the bottom, kind of that thumb rest, if you count that with the button there. And then if we look at this back flare out again, where it comes out here, you're seeing that measurement. And then let's go on and get that mid. I'm gonna have to go from this side because that flares out so much over there. There is our height. But you know what? I really don't think those measurements do it justice. I really think the heat signature camera here is really going to come into life and kind of shine with this mouse. Hopefully you guys can see like how I grip this mouse here. Over here with my thumb looped into the side, and then over here, we call this like a relaxed fingertip because I'm not pulling it in the back of my palm. This is how I primarily use this mouse. And if we take it underneath the heat signature camera, well, we got to go up a bit, and let's go on and release it right there. You can pretty much see I'm not touching the back of the hump back there, right? It's all on the side where that thumb was, over here on the front, rolling up onto my fingers, and then onto the side. But the weird thing, again, you're not seeing it in the back where you would expect kind of be an ergo mouse. Now, you can take this mouse and pull it in the back here, and maybe if you're working or something, you could do that, where you see it's in the back of your palm, then your thumb's way up in the front, and then over onto the side here. Now it's not flaring out onto the side, so you're gonna see that my pinky's just pretty much resting there. So if we take this underneath the heat signature camera here, let's see what this looks like. Bam, letting that go. Complete different story, right? So now you're seeing all of that heat in the back kind of wrapping around there. Not as much over on my thumb because it's coming from there and then over to here. But you're still seeing it flow from the top and then on the side, but you're not seeing a whole lot on the side right there. You're really seeing it kind of wrapping a little midpoint and then on that back end. Now, the interesting thing as far as the advertisement or marketing of this mouse is right on the box here, they're stating it's for palm, claw, or fingertip grip for medium to large hands. That's almost perfect for me, right? I got medium to large hands. I like bigger ergo mice, and I will say you can palm or claw this mouse, but as far as a fingertip, I don't really see that happening. Because again, that back flare right over here by that button swooping out is always going to interfere with your hand. I would definitely class this more as a palm or relaxed claw. It is a large mouse. And of course, the other area where that big size is going to come into play is the weight. This bad boy is coming in at 110 grams. Whew, it is lofty. Now, how about the wired one here? Now, I do have the grips on this, and it is also coming in at 94 grams. But if you've been around my channel for a while, you all know I live and stand by shape. Shape is king. I mean, I swear by that, right? Shape is number one. And you all have probably heard me say this as well, that shape and weight go one in one, right? Like, you don't want a really heavy, tiny mouse because you're going to notice that so much more. But when you got a bigger mouse that's heavy, you don't notice it as much. And I stand by that. Hands down, I love, again, the ES, the X-Lite ES version, or the Zowie mice. It's just still balanced. But this mouse is, again, huge, and it is heavy, and you do notice both of them. So it's not really working out. That phrase that I always state, right? Is it 110 grams? Like, say if I had the Lamzu Maya X over here that was 110, that's definitely not going to fill up my hand as more. I will notice it a whole lot more over here. So I don't notice it really being like this drastic 110, but yes, I do notice how heavy it is. I do. It's just all around big and heavy mouse. Now, even though the wireless one is a little bit lighter, but still heavy, you can notice that difference right there. But still, at the end of the day, these are two big and heavy mice. Now, as far as the build of these mice, I mean, they feel incredibly solid in the hand, obviously, with that weight, but it's kind of strange because, number one, I really can't get a pressure point on where to actually press these as there's so many darn curves on it, and I don't really get flex. Again, I can go super high, even over here on the side, but what I get is like in hand, if I'm just kind of pressing down, or over here on the scroll wheel, definitely more prominent over here on the wired one, which again, I also don't get any flex on these. but I get creaking, especially up here on the scroll wheel. Like I can press it down and then it can go down again. So I get some excess creaking, definitely more prominent on the wired one than the wireless, which you will notice whenever you do that sound test of the buttons, because the scroll wheels are different. But as far as core flex and build in the hand, I mean, they feel very solid. Now the coating of the Kone 2 is kind of in between, right? You got that soft kind of matte grippy texture, but also classic just regular plastic. And that's the vibe I get, is like that old school style mouse. You can see it's picking up some grease and fingerprints right there if you can see it in the camera. It's not so much that soft grippy texture like you're used to on, say, the Viper V3 Pro, which, this is so nice. Now it's not mushy, so don't get me saying that, but it's really soft and just instantly grippy. This, again, has that soft matte coating, but it also has that hard plasticky type vibe. You're not going to notice your hand sliding around on it because it's so darn big. They also come with grips, as you see over here on my white one, if you can see with the lights washing it out, but they do come with grips as well. And these grips, they're not the best. They're incredibly hard grips. They're not soft or, again, grippy. They honestly almost make it slipperier, more slippery than without the grips. Now, as far as the specs and features packed into the Kone 2 from the wired to the wireless one, a lot of the same. Both 1,000 polling rate, both have the 26K owl eye sensor, both have PTFE feet. Again, that shape is the same as we saw, just mild difference of the weight. The switches, both using Titan optical switches, which I'll give that sound test in a second. Where it starts different, again, over here you have wireless, and then you have Bluetooth dongle storage on the bottom, which by Bluetooth you get up to 350 hours, and then wireless is 130, if I'm thinking correctly here. The also different thing about the wireless one is you have a free roll and scroll wheel. So you can see tactile right now, but press that button in, and then it will just free roll right there. Kind of like you've seen on some Razer and Logitech mice. Over here on the wired one, you do not. It's just a DPI up and down type button. Now I want to bring you over to the computer and show you the Swarm 2 software. And before I forget, let me go and show you the mouse right here. I can show you it on with the RGB. As you see, you got your scroll wheel and then the two lines right down there. I always forget to show RGB, so let me squeeze that in here before I forget again. But as far as the Swarm 2 software, we're going to click our Kone 2 Air, and you can see you have all your settings right here. As far as DPIs, if you want to activate or deactivate them, you can right there. As far as increments, it's going in increments of 50 here. Let me get mine back right over there. You got battery status, as the driver's up to date. Over here, you have your polling rate, which it only goes up to 1,000 hertz here. You got your debounce time, standby mode as far as battery, motion sync, angle snap, and it gives you a little description over here what each thing is as far as your settings. Then you have your buttons as far as if you want to customize them. This I really like. You know, the easy shift, it's something I never really thought myself of using before. But again, I just use easy shift with this button right down there. And then when I'm over on my Mac's working, I can press that down and adjust my volume or something like that. It's really great for, again, my workstation. I've been utilizing the heck out of it there with that easy shift. Really love that. And then again, down here is your RGB with some effects. I keep mine on solid. And you see I got my brightness pretty much cranked all the way up here. Over here is just basic macros, settings as far as the software, and then all your devices. And now as far as the performance of the Kone 2, I mean, it performed perfectly fine for what it is, if that makes sense, right? I don't play FPS games, right? I play, can I even say Destiny? I haven't been playing much Destiny lately, but the First Descendants, Wayfinder, I just picked that one up and I'm having a pretty good time with that, you know? The new Call of Duty I'll be playing. But anyways, about the performance of this mouse, again, it was spot on, but I didn't catch myself wanting to game with it, to be honest with you. Again, it was just big and heavy, and it wasn't a true ergonomic because that's swooping on the side. So for me, gaming, it really didn't work out too well. It wasn't what I really wanted. But as far as working over on my Mac, editing videos and just messing around there, I did enjoy it, and I used the wired one over there. Again, that easy shift really came into play and productive for me. This is such a weird release in 2024. It's the biggest mouse release, as I stated. It's the heaviest mouse release. It's just the weirdest mouse release. But usually in this kind of situation, I tell people like, hey, if you really want to try this before you dive into the expensive one, try the wireless one. And I don't think I would say that here at 80 or 70 or 80 bucks, 70 bucks, 69.99 for the wired one. I'd like to see it at like 59 max for the wired one here. And then you can try it out and dabble with it. But right now it's almost weird. Like I couldn't get down with the wireless one. It's just too awkward for me. The wired one, I do love over on my workstation as far as productivity and just making things easier, but I'm not sure if I can wrap it around my head yet and let it be a main work mouse. I'm still going to continue using it right now because I do enjoy it over there, but it's just, again, just an all-around weird mouse.